Hey, Planeteers. Today's conversation is with Dave Hartman. He is a filmmaker, animator, writer, artist, and he's got a really cool graphic novel on Kickstarter right now. That is Monster Drive-In. I had to check. I admit, I had to check the title because I am 60 and can't remember crap. Anyway, there we go. He is also the director of the horror film Phantasm Ravager. So that is now on my list of things to watch. Maybe not today, but in the near future, when my wife is working late, and I'm going to revisit a film franchise that scared the crap out of me as a child. So stick with me. I am here with David Hartman, who is, first of all, the artist on a graphic novel I loved from a few months ago, which was Kraken, right? And, of course, yes, full disclosure, no Shannon Denton, but, still loved the graphic novel. And from that I backed the first volume of Monster Drive-In, here we go, awesome. Which was Isle of Evil. And you're back now with the second, you want to call it volume or the second feater in the Monster Drive-In series?
It is the second feature of my daughter calls it, the horror movie marathon. So this is the next one. I already printed up a proof copy. So this was, I don't do a campaign until I know the work is at least 99.5% because I want to make sure everything I do gets completed right away.
Appreciate that. Yeah.
So let me see.
That's the Hunchback of Naughty Dames, right?
Yeah. Still has crazy ads in it. It's kind of a weird pseudo black and white, but with color. Just doing something weird where I wanted to get that noir era, but yet not go full black and white with it.
Okay, so let me get nerdy right off the bat. It's almost like nobody needs to ask what it's actually about. It's a Hunchback of Naughty Dames, and Monster Drive-In I was at an event and a horror artist asked what horror books are you reading right now? And I said, this Monster Drive-In thing. You gotta, no, because
thank you.
What you've done, tell me if I'm right, is these are movies that you could see the script having been written in somebody's fever dream, but nobody had the budget or the effects ability to make them in the time period they're clearly meant to have been made in.
You just summed up my career.
Yeah.
So, because that's what these are stories. A lot of them are stories I've just had in the back of my head and I write down. So that first one, Isle of Evil, these were things I actually wanted to turn into movies. And I've been in animation for a long time, but something like this is a little, I guess, risky for a studio to pick up or something, but I was just tired of waiting and pitching stuff. So for me, this was my way of making these kind of one-off graphic novels. Right. But instead of just constantly having a number one, here's this episode, here's this as their own standalone, I kind of wanted to put them all together because to me, they are all the real same world. And it was drive-ins. That's what, I love. And, I'm constantly going back to, 60s, 70s and 80s cinema, modern cinema, it has great stuff, but it's that older non-CG, practical, creative problem solving and the passion of doing that I love about those movies. And I'm trying to do the same thing here, but a lot of the books I've read, they love the genre, but they also feel like it's got to be funny sometimes, or I love Return of the Living Dead and Evil Dead, two of my all-time favorite horror movies. And but both of those movies took themselves very seriously. They're not trying to do moments. They have their moments where they can do something like that, but it's still scary in its own right. And that's kind of what I'm trying to do with these books too. They're just, to me, these are, A movie stories on a B movie budget. I love it when it's kind of cheesy on an accidental level, I guess, not an intentional
I mean, I
level.
thought Isle of Evil was funny but gross, and it was, as you say, the characters are clearly deadly serious about what the situation is they're in, and I'm just like, that's I could totally see that
Yeah, and
movie
it's got its
having
cheesy
happened.
one-liners, and
Yeah,
like
well,
who's
that's fair
ahead
too.
now, and goofy stuff like that. But that's what I loved about those movies, and kind of the schlockiness of it, and of Grindhouse in general.
And you've got a great framing device to continue, where you have a horror host who, right, is this skeleton selling popcorn, basically.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, that was the whole thing, was packaging it into this one kind of book. And then the first one, Isle of Evil, did so well. I hoped I would get to do more, but I didn't necessarily plan on it. But now I have 5 or 6 scripts written already for books I want to do. I already got the next one started. Well, the next 2 started. I haven't decided which one of the 2 I want to do, but they're all genre based, but they're all a little bit different, but still monsters. I love.
See, this is the rare moment I know exactly where your graphic novel was. And so I can point out, that you had in the back a
hint.
preview, a hint, and that Hunchback of Naughty Dames is coming next. Now, you're saying these are 60s, 70s, and 80s, but what you just described in its art feels almost like a pre-code monster movie that wouldn't have.
Yeah, it's very
existed.
40s, and it's kind of written that way in a certain aspect. But there's a part of me that thinks, well, it was a 40s movie that was re-edited in the 70s.
I could see that.
A new soundtrack. Now, I don't go really into that because I don't want to take people really out of the story when they're reading it. But that's just my mindset of how I could get away with doing a noir.
Oh, no. I love that, because I'm always torn with that kind of storytelling. Like, I just read a book this afternoon that was, I love when people like go, and this is the history behind it. Like, it was somebody else wrote a book about this event, and so there's 2 pages. But I also realized, as much as I love that, it didn't need it. The story didn't need it, but I love that. As long as you have the answers,
Yeah.
But I would say with this, what you described with the black and white and with some color is, I think people merge film history eras together and don't realize. Like the silent version at the very least, and I'm sure there are many more, but this is one I've seen, of Phantom of the Opera, has color in it, and nobody expects that. When we see it now,
I kind of do the same thing with different tones, have different. You got cool colors for certain things, warm colors. Phantom of the Opera used sepias and even green, and Caligari, they did a version of that, like as that as well. I don't know if that was a newer version, but not back then. But it has that kind of vibe to it, which I don't know. That's kind of what I was going for, but at the same time, it's also gratuitous, where it's like, I want to show the blood, and
well, and now you
show the gore, and that's
now you've inspired me to say, would you do one that is like Metropolis, which then got the colorization by Giorgio Moroder, and how would you pull off a synth pop soundtrack in a graphic novel? But the other thing too, so your film history, no, absolutely. It is also spaced out like a comic from the 60s, or like an eerie or a creepy. So you must have a background in that too.
Yeah, absolutely. Like when I grew up, I was fortunate that my parents were also in the collectibles and stuff. My mom did Hummels and stuff, but my dad was a baseball card guy and started his own baseball card company and stuff. And I worked in a card shop for most of my high school years. And they were always very supportive, and we would go to flea markets, and almost every flea market we'd leave with a white box of comics, right? And $20, and you get a full long box of whatever. You don't know what's in there, right? And I grew up on a lot of the off-market stuff. I wasn't really the superhero kid. I was more Mad Magazine, but all of the 70s DC, House of Mystery, House of Secrets, Chamber of Horrors, that era really grabbed me, right? and then throw in a little Richie Rich and hot stuff and a lot of the Harvey comics.
Well, that will mess a boy up.
You know,
What
maybe
a
that's where the
combination.
cartoony aspect comes from. But you know, it's those were probably my main influences, but definitely EC and Mad Magazine and, you know, Jack Davis, Will Elder, and that's right? Did I say that right?
Both. There's a
Yeah.
Will Eisner and a Will Elder. Will
Yeah.
Elder was out of
Wally
Mad.
Wood,
Yeah.
all these guys,
Yeah.
you know, from that era were just fantastic. And I still have fun reading Mad Magazine, you know, today. But that being said, let me give a sneak preview. Let me find a good one. Because in here, I do like the old timey ads.
Yeah.
Let's see here. But, you know, they're kind of weird, like Pizza Punch, isometric muscle building and pizza stunts, gamma ray specs, which actually mutate people. And over here we have chicken heads for hands, science and poultry collide. All with mail orders. And if you actually read these, you'll see there's really one company in Transylvania, Ohio, that's putting out all this crap.
So there's probably a story behind the story there too.
There is. And speaking of, just to go off on a tangent, kind of on the same subject, but for this particular campaign, the last one, Isle of Evil, I did a map because I had to do with an isle and stuff. This one, because it's kind of it's about, you know, 1940s Hollywood, you know, the gumshoe that gets pulled into a missing starlet who was trying out for this movie called Portal of Blood. And on his way, he meets these other starlets and kind of finds this weird Lovecraftian cult kind of behind Hollywood. Not to give away too much, but that's kind of the premise. So it's this kind of cursed movie. So it's a fake movie within a fake movie that's within the book. Gets very meta.
I love it.
So I made a press book. So we also have this one printed up. So we got a press book, and you know, you were talking about the history of things. I thought this was perfect. So I got, you know, history of the movie, the actors that play it, like the Hunchback, the actor Carl Tork, and he used to be a child star. Now he does action movies. The inside has a big poster.
So this is a Kickstarter bonus.
Yeah. So this is just a little like $5 add-on you could throw on to your order.
You got me. I'm doing it. See, but that proves the point, right? Your story doesn't need it, but I love that you have it. And now that
that's
I know
the
it
fun
exists,
stuff for me. I live for this stuff. I love telling the stories, but I want the stories to be more than just a book. I kind of want it to be an event in a way, you know. So that's why we got all these extras, even stickers and bookmarks and prints. And we just unlocked. We hit a stretch goal, which unlocks a movie ticket. So you get a movie ticket that's got the Hunchback of Naughty Dames on one side, and the other side is the movie within the book called Portal of Blood, and it's a real kind of oversized movie ticket. And that goes free to every order, so everyone gets that free. So,
well, I have not backed it yet. I mean, it just launched Monday, I think.
This is like the 4th day it's up, and we were trending, online where you check this Kick Tracker or whatever it is, and the different Kickstarter sites. But we were in the top 4 of all of Kickstarter for almost 24 hours, which to me was, for a comic, a substantial deal. So I'm very proud of that. I hope the book delivers as well. I mean, it will deliver, but I mean, the story delivers for the hype and stuff. But I just have so much fun drawing this stuff and making these goofy stories. And like I said, I got at least 5 more lined up. So I'm just hoping to keep the series going. So as long as it's doing well, I'll just keep doing them.
All right, and I would be remiss if you have a graphic novel coming from Titan with Shannon.
I have that here
Spector.
too. They just sent me a proof copy of that, so I can share that too with Shannon Eric Denton and Monster Forge, his company.
Yeah, and he told me that it was related to Kraken, but it wasn't necessarily
Yeah,
obvious.
it's not a obvious like on the nose kind of connection, but it is, Shannon's much like me, he's creating his own universe,
Right.
of characters. And I just love the stuff he's doing, and we get along so well, and I love his writing. So we're having a blast doing these. And I just get up in the morning and start cranking.
I do like to ask when I have horror people on, like, what are the, name a horror movie you really love that you don't think people know as well. A real one, not just yours, though. Please, by all means,
Right,
everybody,
yeah.
Monster Drive-In, support this.
Yeah.
But anyway, go
Well,
ahead.
I mean, I have a ton. And I have a certain selection of movies I go to depending on what project I'm working on. But my go-tos, I think I mentioned before, but like Evil Dead and Return of the Living Dead are two all-time favorites, right? But they're a lot of everyone's favorites. I got some weird ones too, like Shockwaves from the 80s, which was like Peter Cushing on an island, very Isle of Evil, actually, on an island, but there's these Nazi zombies coming out of the water attacking these people stranded on an island, right? And I don't know. I love how it's shot. I love the practical. The soundtrack is just like grinding, loud, distorted synth that just is, I don't know. It's just one of those movies where I'm like, it inspires me so much because I can see the flaws in it in a way that I appreciate. But there's also the creativity behind it and the balls to say, hey, we're going to go make this thing and we don't have the budget to do it, but we have a story we want to tell. And this is how we'll get around those shortcomings. And I love that stuff. And that's really inspiring.
No, then I must find Shockwaves. Well,
yeah. You'll watch it. Go, what the hell is he talking about?
No. I have plenty of films like that.
Yeah,
I'm
Ken
sorry.
Wiederhorn is the director. And,
any one of us who loves Buckaroo Banzai Across the Eighth Dimension has no business judging anybody for loving a film that is flawed. Not,
Well, and I was as a kid, just to circle around back to Phantasm, not to take up too much time, but that I saw that on Fangoria. Like it was Fangoria issue 2. I've always said this, but this was a defining moment in my childhood. I was 7 years old. I saw Fangoria issue 2 at a newsstand. It was a little Professor bookstore, and it had the Prophecy Bear on the cover. John Frankenheimer did the Prophecy Bear. It was this mutant bear, and I was just
Prophecy,
I was like, oh my god, I'd never seen anything like this before. And flipping inside, I saw this one image, which was a young a Michael Baldwin floating in front of a red sky. And I was like, what is this? This is weird. And then there's a cut off finger in a box. And I begged my mom to get me that. And, luckily, she was that fantastic parent to buy a 7-year-old a book with a bloody bear on the front cover. But that really, I think, set me off into a direction of horror, whether it's the shock value or just again, just seeing weird things you would never see. A bear poisoned by mercury that's mutated it. I love it.
Yeah. So that's David Hartman's Secret Origin. We got a bonus there. So thank you so much for taking some time to talk about this.
Thank you for letting me talk about this stuff.
And everybody back Monster Drive-In on Kickstarter because it's well worth it.
Thank you.
It's fantastic. So, all right.
Awesome. Thank you.